never done this, so we'll see how it goes.
It's, often people will think that it's all about timing, and it's all about what it's all about.
Totally, totally.
Because sometimes there's people showing up, bada bing, bada bang, all over the place, and then sometimes it's in the replay
Yeah,
or a month down the road.
totally.
You never know when you're going to
No,
find the time. It's so gorgeous outside right now.
I know. The pink sun is literally staring me in the face right now. I've got
Mm,
my blind open. I've got a little chair that kind of sits in the corner of my room, and I kind of use this as my little comfy spot to log on and do these kinds of things.
comfy spots make all the difference.
Yeah,
Comfy
totally,
spots make all the
totally.
difference.
And
Yeah.
my puppy is laying across from me on the bed, looking at me like, "What are you doing, Mom? Who
What's
are you
that?
talking to, Mom? You're
I
not
can hear a
talking to
voice.
me."
I can hear a voice. I can hear a voice.
Totally,
Oh,
totally.
I'm so grateful that you're here. Like, I mean, I'm just over the moon. It's really neat because we see each other so often in person, and
Yeah.
then here we are on a whole different level. It's surreal.
Totally, totally. Well, I
It's
have to say, I so appreciated that you followed through because I've been trying to get people to go to the gym with me now for about 6 months. And we make a plan. I make a plan with someone, and then they're like, "Oh, that time doesn't work for me. Oh, I have this happening. Oh, I don't have this going on." So thank you for showing up.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And it requires massive dedication to stay the
Totally,
course in doing something that feels good after
absolutely.
all those
So
hormones. I
well,
think
it's
it's
it
so
was hard
important.
getting up that early in the morning, although I'm up anyways. But really, it was nice to not be on the second I woke up. So I'm really trying to just live life differently so that I can show up better for myself, show up better for the people in my life by not always being on. So Friday, I went golfing at a female entrepreneurial golf tournament, and it was so much fun. And normally I would have volunteered and I would have gone and worked, and I thought, you know what? No, I'm just going to go have fun. And man, did I have fun!
Yeah.
So no, it was yeah, it was nice to just again do things differently. I've been just doing little tweaks and making things different the last little while, and really I'm just seeing such big returns for those small changes. And I think people think they need to make really big changes in life for things to make a huge difference, but honestly it's that 1%,
It
literally these
is,
just these
oh my
tiny
God, the 1%.
changes,
The
right?
1%.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. The
so
fringe change. And I'm not
totally,
just like it's just that outer skirt, that little tiny bit that you just trim off to make time for what it is that you want more
exactly,
of.
exactly. No,
Yeah.
totally. So, well,
Yeah.
and even like my spouse and I got to spend the whole day together yesterday, and we rarely get to do that. He often is working on a Saturday, or we've got something going on, and it was so nice to just kind of do nothing. Well, I dropped him off because we both golfed, so I went and picked him up Friday night because like even if you had one drink, I'd rather you not rather you not drive across the city. So I went and grabbed him Friday night, and then Saturday, yeah, woke up late, so he got to sleep in, which was really nice. And then we ended up going and just to Canadian Tire, and then we went for lunch, and it was just so nice to just do and do nothing. So,
Oh my gosh. Remember when date night was that kind of thing where you're like,
right?
let's go to Canadian Tire, let's go to Home Depot and
Yeah,
imagine what the life can be like.
totally,
Oh,
totally. And now we have a house full of stuff that I sometimes walk into and go, I'd like to just light a match and walk away. That's the funny part.
oh,
The funniest part about, you're getting your 20s, you just want to get married. And then you get in your 30s and you're just buying all the things because you just have to have all the things. You're so materialistic. And then you're in your 40s and kind of skirting into your 50s and you go, oh my God, I'm so consumed by stuff. So,
mhm, and if you don't do something about that stuff, you will leave it to your children, and they
well,
will, right?
that's assuming you have children. The only thing I have is a little furry friend. So, and I'm sure she doesn't want my stuff.
No, no. I mean, there's certain things that I've had the blessing of getting when people pass away, books or
Yeah,
a
totally.
necklace
Yeah.
or a keepsake. But
Yeah.
for God's sakes, like those fat pants, or
Yeah.
we don't need to
No.
hold on to those things. If you give away, then one day someone will give to you. I do a clothing exchange with a girlfriend twice a year. That's a
Yeah.
first. I've
Yeah,
got a bag.
I do that quite often. My cousins will come for a visit, and I'll go through my closet. I'm like, here, take this, and it's always she's like,
What
it was
size?
always my favorite time of year when she's like when we were kids. She's like, I would get all your stuff, and she said, I was in small town Saskatchewan, so that by the time you were giving me stuff that wasn't cool for you, it was just coming in for me. So, and we still have a relationship, so it's fun, right?
Hand-me-downs. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I love hand-me-downs. I do. So much fun because when someone gives me something, I have this incredible memory for remembering who gave me this
yeah,
hand-me-down. This is for
totally.
my daughter-in-law, and I love it. Every time I put it on, I
Yeah,
think of her.
yeah,
Daphne gave me these earrings. Every time I think of
yeah,
her. And the
yeah,
hoops that she put them on were itching me. So I put them on other hoops that I got when I
yeah,
was in Kelowna. I
yeah,
remember because
yeah.
it's the memory. That's what connection
Totally.
is, making
Yeah,
memories.
definitely, definitely. Well, even the Barbie pajamas I'm wearing. I was a Barbie girl. Like I played with Barbie till I was like 13. Still interested in boys, but I was like, I did just that whole idea of make believe and being creative and having fun, like altering the clothes. So, I've always kind of had that designer spirit, but I think it's just that active just that playful act, right? And that, I think that's really what inspires my style today. And I always kind of different wig, different glasses, different whatever outfit, but it's all kind of that Barbie inspired, just being whoever you want to be, right?
Yeah, yeah. I love when I was in corporate, I struggled with the dress code. Man, did I struggle with the dress code, right? Because some of the places I went to, like, you have to wear long sleeves, can't show the tattoos, you got to have safety
Oh God,
shoes, and
yeah,
all that stuff. And it was just like tearing apart my happiness because for me, the feeling of the clothes, the color of the clothes, how am I feeling today? What color is calling to me? And
yeah,
if we take that part out of us so that we show up the way that we're expected to show up,
yeah.
then who are we?
Yeah, totally, totally. I know even I worked on a job site at one time too. And so, jeans were the dress code, and obviously you had to wear your work boots. But what I did is I found fleece jackets and turtlenecks that were matching so that I could still be me, right? So because it's like I need a little flair. So I had one in pink, I had one in purple, I had one in green, I had one in blue, I had a white one, I had a black one, just so that I could mix it up and everything was matching and everyone, just shake their head at me. And it's just like you're not going to take the female out of me just because I'm at a job site. Like, this is who I am at my core. So,
Well, I like showing up in life like I'm walking into an episode of Cheers. I want to
right?
go where everybody knows my name, right? Like,
Totally, totally.
I,
Well, I'm definitely building on that these days because
right?
showing up at places and they're like, oh, you're Carrie the Connector, right? I'm like, okay, yes, yes, I am. Oh, I follow her on Instagram. You're fabulous. I'm like, oh, thank you. I think so too.
It's
Like,
cool, isn't it? And then you get to know
it's
them
so
beyond the
cool.
page, right? Beyond this system that we have
Totally.
shows us a version of somebody. And then when you meet them in a more heartfelt environment, and different networking events have different feels. Um,
Totally.
and I still like showing up as best I can. Me. I understand the need to be more professional in some situations
Oh,
than
definitely.
others, right? I'm not going to show up at the Scotia Bank in the same vibe that I'm going to show up at a music venue. It,
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you gotta understand the scenery, so to say.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. Well, yeah, you kind of just get a different vibe from different people, but it's just like I know I always got a hard time from my friends when I was younger. They're like, "You always look better than us. Why do you like to go out and try and look better than us?" It's like I don't try and look better from you. I show up how it works for me, and I feel good like this. So this is how I show up. You're comfortable in a t-shirt. I don't own them other than to wear them to bed, right? Like it's just not my thing. but it doesn't make me better or worse than you. It's just, this is what I'm comfortable in. This is who I'm comfortable being. And watching my mom worked in an office my entire life. So I, up until probably 10 years ago, wore pantyhose, even in the heat of the summer, because that's how my mom dressed, right? Um, so you are who you're raised to be and who you surround yourself with. And I think that's probably my favorite part about having been an entrepreneur now, is I get to surround myself with some of the best people. I'm not stuck putting up with people who didn't appreciate who I was and what I was doing. So it's been a really interesting change of pace. Some days it's like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? It's so much effort. But at the same time, it's so much more satisfying knowing that I'm filling my cup, not filling somebody else's pocketbook. So
Isn't that the truth, right?
yeah,
Because when we're working for someone else, we are building their business. We're building their brand. We're a representative for the company.
yeah,
And we hear that
yeah,
often. When you come, remember you're a representative of, I'm
yeah,
going to start naming off all the different construction companies that I was a
yeah,
representative of.
yeah,
And
totally.
do they remember me? I
Yeah,
wonder, right? Like, I wonder if I started listing them, if they would even have a clue. I remember when I there was a Optimist's Creed, and it talked about being the best version of yourself. I'm making it my own, working for the best, surrounding by yourself by the best, and all of that. So there was a job opportunity for a company in St. Albert, and it was called Z with a Z, Best Plastics. Oh my God, it's a sign, right? So I applied for the job, I got the job, and then we went from St. Albert out to Morinville, which was a much bigger commute than I expected, and the structure of the business wasn't what I signed up for at all. And yet I stayed the course because I was taught to not quit. So I stuck around for a very, very long time until the boss started kicking the garbage can because he'd get pissed off. And the garbage can would go flying. And I'm like, this is wrong. Hi, buddy.
say
Oh,
hi,
how
I'm
you
Ellie.
doing?
Hi,
Hi,
Ellie.
Ellie. Oh,
Say
look at
hi,
those
Ellie.
eyes.
Who's that? You hear people, you don't see people, huh?
Yeah,
She's
must
looking out
be.
the
Where is she? Where is she? Where is she?
window.
So
Where's
in
it?
working for another company, there was that I don't fit here. I'm
Yeah,
I gotta leave. This isn't good for my mental health. My mental health really struggled. And
yeah,
every once in a while, I remember the places that I went to that taught me like massive lessons. I was not
yeah.
allowed to use different colored pens or different colored highlighters. Drove me
That's
nuts.
weird.
I was doing bookkeeping, Carrie. I was keeping track of money in, money out. Like, add a highlight.
Yeah, that's
Nope.
weird.
Black and a yellow highlighter. That was all
Yeah,
there was. Like, well, that doesn't work for me. So
yeah.
we
Well, yeah,
compromised
I
a lot.
know. Yeah, just so weird. I know I worked at one place too, and they're like, you have to stop referring to as our. They're like, it's not your business. And I'm like, except the fact that people think it is means that they trust me more. And I'm not representing it as my business, but it's the business I work for. So that's how I show up, right? Like, sorry
Yeah.
about your luck. I don't know. I don't understand people. Oh, Ellie.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? And we both work with other people. We don't
Yeah.
work completely alone.
No.
I mean, for example, you and I both show up at womanition events.
Yes.
I love womanition events.
Me too.
I'm not womanition. And,
No.
and Dorothy's not womanition. Dorothy built womanition. She's
Totally.
so much more than womanition.
Oh, definitely.
So cool.
I agree. I agree.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy to have met her because that's how we met.
Right? And
Yeah.
I went to the womanition event because my friend Shauna Sandheim in Calgary, her lead with the company that she works with is out of Edmonton, and he was speaking. So great big tall fella Dan, he spoke at the last Biz Brigade,
Oh,
and
okay.
I was at his table, and then I'm chatting it up with a fella, and I'm like, you sure look familiar. And then, oh my God, he was dating my girlfriend or is dating my girlfriend. And it's just like, oh my God, that 6 degree of separation that has just like
Totally.
expanded, right? If
Yeah.
you want to know somebody, Google them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is great. It actually surprises me how many people don't use that for their
Oh,
marketing,
I've got it's on my
because
list.
it's it's
On
so
LinkedIn.
good.
I'm on LinkedIn and it's on my list. I've got a book that was written by a lady by the name of Melanie, and she was one of the originating idea makers behind LinkedIn.
Oh, okay, cool.
So excited to go through that. I like doing things very strategically. So right now I'm still working on my last edit for my memoir is in the can. It's gone. I'm not reading it again. Well, in its totality. So now what I'm doing, you'll love this. Every chapter has a dynamic QR code that leads to a behind the scenes video.
Oh, that's great. Though, and that's a really good recommendation. I ran into a girl today, and I was like, I'm like, she was in an industry where it's very hard to differentiate yourself. So I'm like, do videos. I'm like, do a tip of the day. I'm like, honestly, I said, she's, oh, I really don't. I'm like, none of us like being on video. And it's funny because I'm like recording something the other day when I was at the golf course because it was like, hey, here's where I am. This is what I'm doing. And the girl's like, oh my God. She's like, you do that so effortlessly. I'm like, oh, trust me, it's a lot of effort. And I think I sound like a bumbling idiot. The beauty is that apparently not so much so, because people are telling me I'm doing a good job and I'm winning contests and different things for best presentation at certain events. And I'm like, I don't know, hear what you hear, but I'm glad you hear it and you like it. So,
You have the ability to speak just from the heart, from the hip,
yeah,
swing it out there. And I mean, when I read my chapter titles, they're intriguing.
yeah,
Uh, Never Ever Again,
yeah,
Raiders lose, Buccaneers win, Scandalous, Four Brothers, Tales of a Battered Beauty. It's intriguing when you have the ability to hop on YouTube and hear me talk about it with a little clip from it.
yeah, it's great.
Who's that? Right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
there's so many avenues for us to be able to connect
yeah,
with others.
definitely.
And just because it hasn't worked before doesn't mean it's not going to work again.
Oh, yeah, nail on head right there. Worked for so many organizations. Oh, we've tried that before. Yeah, you tried it 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but are you driving the same car? Are you wearing the same clothes? Are you drinking the same or eating the same? No, you're not. So, you know
No,
what? Maybe it takes that different person and their different ideas to make something work, you know?
maybe, right? It's so different. I've got a friend of mine and she does social media and web design. I was over at her place. I picked her up from the airport, drove her home, and we're chatting away. And I says, you're still working for Thirsty Rooster out in St. Albert, right? She's like, yeah. I'd like to have a book signing there. Do you think we can do that? She's like, oh my God, yes.
Oh, that's
Great.
amazing. Yeah.
Great. That sounds like fun. And it
Yeah,
takes effort to organize.
totally.
Sometimes 10 people show up.
Yeah.
I remember one time I put an event together with Daphne and like nobody showed. I was heartbroken. And I practiced. I
Yeah.
talked about anxiety. I mean, how
Yeah.
ironic is that?
Well, and like, I think a lot of people get so frustrated. Even the event I went to today, it was the first time. And I said, I'm like, I think you should be like proud of how this went. And the guy's like, well, I know it'll be better next time. I'm like, absolutely. I was like, but I'm like, I'm like, here are your takeaways. I'm like, this is what, you could do different. Planning with more than 6 weeks ahead of time is probably, something you could do to gain more people there. But, at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm a big believer as if one person shows up, that was a success,
I agree.
right? Because you never know how you're going to impact said one person,
Oh,
or right, or where that person came from, or how what it meant to them, or how it felt to them, right? So
will you impact one person, Carrie? You may be the one person that smiles at somebody, says hello, offers to help carry out the groceries. My God, what a difference we can make.
oh,
I
totally.
remember I remember being in line at Save On, no, it's Sobeys in St. Albert. And I was having a rough day, man. I was having such a rough day. It was right near Emily's birthday. I was not doing well at all. And there were birthday balloons by the checkout, and a song came on the speaker. I had my groceries on. I turned in, like, I mean, I was bawling. I was bawling. My groceries went through. All of a sudden, some young fellow was carrying my groceries out to my car. I had no idea what was going on. The lady behind me paid for my groceries, and the young fellow carried them out to my car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, can we do things like that more? Often.
Right.
Often.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know my husband's not a small talker. Does not just not his thing. He hates small talk. And then I'm like, I'll talk somebody up, and he's like, "Oh my god." He's like, "Why do you do that?" I was like, "Because I might be the only person that engaged that person in conversation all day, or made them smile, or like you don't know where people are at, right?" I'm like,
Mm.
it's just that's why we're different, and that's okay. But yeah, it drives him crazy. But I can make a friend literally anywhere. Look, I mean,
Same.
standing in the ladies' bathroom making friends, right? Like,
Well, especially when you don't have toilet paper and you got to have somebody
totally,
reach out.
right? Totally,
Excuse
totally,
me.
totally.
Can you pass me
Yeah,
some Grey
yeah,
Poupon, right?
yeah.
And
Spare a square, please.
those are the most amazing moments when you're in line. You're like, oh wow, what are you having for dinner?
Yeah,
That was
totally,
great.
totally.
You
Yeah.
know, I remember way back after I had separated from my ex-husband, and I was contemplating the thought of dating, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this, right? So I'm in the grocery store cruising along, and you're like, diapers, not that guy. Uh, diapers not so good. Too much takeout food, convenient food, like, right? Like, it was just, I was analyzing the world because I didn't know what to do with myself, like, at all.
Oh, you should online date. You should online date. I'm like, oh, really? Should I? I hadn't dated in forever either when I got divorced too. So it was like, okay, fine. Well, quite literally, Rob was the only person who didn't send me a picture of his peen.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
I put a line on mine, like a parameters. It was 45 to 55, somewhere around there.
yeah.
And like, I had over and under, I had 18, I had some 80-year-old fella. And I mean, what do you do with that, right? And then sometimes you get that, you go on that date, and I'm like, I ditched. I did the kitchen, bathroom, back door. I'm out of here. Like, this guy's way
Oh,
too creepy.
oh, I've had some pretty good groaners. So went out with this one guy, and I was like, oh, so do you have any children? He's like, yeah, I have four girls. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I have four girls. I'm like, oh, and where are they today? With their moms. I'm like, moms. Oh, how many moms? Four. I'm like, okay, so this guy's really fertile. Yeah, that's definitely not what I want. Right? And like, not with like no word of a lie. Within 5 minutes of meeting me, asked me to come to Mexico with him. I'm like, okay, clearly this is your shtick. It was a one and done. So I'm like, nope, done with that. Then I show up with this other one, and I was 30 at the time. So keep this in mind. And so wasn't really interested in doing the whole 40 because I was thinking, like, if you're 40 and you're still single, there's something wrong with you. In my head at that point, right? Now I'd be
Yeah.
like, this person's probably pretty smart to have lived their life by themselves. Anyways.
Now looking on it, right? Like, 40
Right?
years old,
Right?
over yourself, you probably know yourself really well.
Anyways, this guy shows up in a totally Club Monaco sweatshirt that I had in 1995. So it was like, okay, well, I liked my Club Monaco sweatshirt too, but probably not what I would choose to wear on a date. And it was just like kind of reminded me of my dad a little too much. And I'm like, you might be, he was 40, but he felt 55, right? Like, I'm like, kind of like, I appreciate that you're comfortable, but that's a little too comfortable. So
It is.
yeah,
It's such an interesting world that we have because I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, it was either at a bar or a
yeah,
church,
yeah,
a bar, bowling.
yeah.
Uh, you got hooked up. The blind dates.
Oh,
Oh my girlfriend Tracy, she set me up with this guy, the fish guy, because she bought fish off of him, great big huge tank. He had pictures
yeah.
of Aubrey Hepburn everywhere, and he referred to her as Aubrey.
Hmm.
And she's like, he's a nice guy. I'm like, no. Then there was the guy that my friend sent me up with because he grew his own food, so he was an organic kind of guy. Like, what's wrong with my friends? You know, oh my God. So before I met Ralph, I had Botox for migraines. I had really, really bad migraines. So I got the Botox like here, here,
Yeah,
here, back of the head, like it was nasty.
yeah,
It was about 2 weeks after the appointment. I looked in the mirror and I smiled, right?
yeah. Oh no.
And I'm like, what? And I told my
Yeah.
doctor, don't mess with my smile, right? So I go back to the doctor. I'm like, this is wrong. And my girlfriend, her name is Carrie as well. And she's teasing me. She's like, yo, Adrienne. And I'm like, oh my God, funny, not funny, right? So I pulled myself off of dating because the doctor, I'm like, well, what do we do? He's like, well, we can put some more in. I'm like, no,
No, we're
no,
good. No, no, no.
I'm not adding to this problem. So 4 to 6, he's like, how long? 4 to 6. I'm thinking weeks. He's like months. So like there was 4 months of side profile.
Yeah.
Because that's all I could do. And then I went back online and met Ralph. So it was that divine connection, that
Yeah.
perfect timing.
Yeah. So my house literally got hit by lightning the week I met Rob. So, well, the fence got hit, which then zapped my computer, and I was really sad about it. But I'm like, but I was plugged into a surge protector, and he's like, ma'am, that's meant for 80 volts, not 80,000. I was like, oh, okay.
So he came to check your
No, Rob didn't. The Epcor guy, whatever, just
poor
on
guy.
the
Okay,
phone.
okay,
But
okay.
Rob and I ended up meeting like a couple days later. So I kind of like, yeah, lightning literally struck, and so he appeared.
And that's where a grain of salt to take to somebody. I love recommendations. I
Yeah,
love recommendations. If I'm looking for a new hairdresser, I love recommendations. I'm looking for
yeah,
a mechanic, I love recommendations. I am wary, very, very, very wary when somebody badmouths somebody else.
yeah,
That's where I'm like, please tell me, right? Because we do have experiences with others
yeah,
that may not necessarily, I'd watch out for that one.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then
for sure.
explain the situation. But damn, if I by all the mistakes I made,
Yeah,
I don't like
yeah.
that.
No, no, no. Well, and I don't know. Um, I'm a very big believer in I don't know, karma gets you in the end. So I don't need to say bad things about you because you're a bad person. That's going to shine through, and I don't need to tell you that. But I will warn somebody that say and tell them like not the person. I would just be very careful, and I'll leave it at that.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not
Yes.
going to get into the details because I don't know. I worked at a place once, and we weren't allowed to gossip. And I thought, like, that's kind of silly, but whatever. And it's like, no, if you're going to think somebody's an asshole, you're going to come through to that conclusion on your own. And usually that was the case, but it was like, I'm like, I kind of like that, right? Because I think oftentimes, especially when you're younger, you kind of take in what other people are saying. But I don't know, people's true colors always shine through eventually.
Oh,
So
they
it's just
do.
like,
And when I look at all of the people that I've worked with and worked for, the guy that I worked with out in Warrenville, I now am very, very conscious of what what can happen if you think too far in advance about the money that's coming in instead of focusing on the money that's in.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I look forward to going to Scotiabank and getting a great big loan. I'm not
Yeah.
spending yet, right?
Totally. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I learned that. I learned how to completely redo an inventory system
Yeah.
because I I always understood the inventory system to work first in, first out. Buy an apple, sell an apple.
Yeah.
He didn't use that inventory system, so I had to learn a whole different inventory system. And then
Yeah.
eventually we came to a conclusion that maybe the first in, first out would work for his business.
Yeah.
Um, I've learned so much from the most powerful leaders. Uh,
Yeah.
worked for men and I've worked for women, you know,
Yeah.
so I don't see it so much as a men are like this, women are like that. I like people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even when someone's difficult to work with, you're still going to learn something from them. I
Yeah,
had a boss that everyone's just like, you work for that, man. They're like, oh, you can work for anybody. Oh, believe me, I know. But I also grew up with a brother who played hockey. And so, like, things aren't always nice. Both brothers are mean. Their friends are meaner. And so it gave me a little bit of a thick skin. And I think that's really as as much as it pained me and I cried my eyes out back then, I kind of it really made me a very strong person and I will put up with a lot. But still handle myself with grace because I think that at the end of the day, how I handle a situation is a better reflection on me than being a jerk. And believe me,
oh,
there's times I'd wanted to be a jerk, but it's just so much easier not to be the jerk because you don't know
no.
where someone's coming from or why they are the way that they are. And I don't need to add to that person's stress.
Well, there's the hierarchy. So
Hmm.
maybe that guy had a boss that was really breathing down his
Totally.
neck.
Well, it's, as they say, shit rolls down hills. So,
It does, and it does.
yeah,
So it's I've had agreements with people, contracts, bindings that didn't serve me. And I cut those to make room for those that did.
totally,
And I mean, I
totally.
am so blessed with the people in my life.
Yeah.
I'm so blessed.
Yeah. Well, and and I made a note actually that the other day I found a quote and said it's amazing how someone who is a stranger can almost give you more clarity and be a better friend to you than some of the people you've known your whole life. It's just it's amazing to me how you can
Mm.
really take something and build it in or build something out of nothing. Um, and yeah, some of the people I've met in my networking groups have been like so supportive of me, and I'm so appreciative because I wouldn't be where I am without my network at the end of the day, or a husband that's literally pushed me into things by saying, "So I bought this for you, figure it out." Okay.
It is, you know, that the people who will forward um put us in uncomfortable places, going out of your
Yeah,
comfort
yeah, yeah.
zone.
That what what's gonna say that love shove, right?
Yes, the love shove, no doubt. The
Yeah.
love shove. Yeah. You've got
So
this. You've got
yeah, totally, totally. Well, and my mom used to do it to me all the time too, and it used to make me so mad. But at the end of the day, I know that everything she does for me is because of the love she has for me. So how do you really get I was upset at that at the time because I don't think I was old enough to understand the reasoning behind why she did or how she did what she did. And she's always let me make mistakes. And sometimes it's like, you could have saved me from this. But if she had, then I wouldn't have seen the lesson in it. Right. So,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know. It's interesting how much clarity you get as you're older. It's like, couldn't I have not known this stuff 20 years ago? Like, you know how much further ahead of my life that I'd be had I not cared so much what people thought, had I, just done things differently, but I wouldn't be who I am now. And I wouldn't have the people in my
Mhm.
life that I have now. And so, I think it's so easy to get caught up in your story and what happened. But just live in the moment.
Oh, there's so much beauty in the moment. Like there
Mhm.
is just so much beauty in the moment. We spent time today listening to songs, and
Oh, awesome.
oh, Ralph's playing his YouTube, and he's singing along to the Backstreet Boys, which still blows my mind that he knows all the words, right? And he's
I love that because looking at Ralph, that would never have expected that.
oh, well, no, and it's his daughter. His daughter listened to
Yeah,
Backstreet Boys.
yeah,
So, and I mean, and I can sing almost all the songs to Iron
yeah.
Maiden.
Oh, of course, of course.
Right. And
Yeah,
there is such a beauty in that.
yeah,
I liked heavy metal music because of the lyrics.
yeah, yeah,
I really like the lyrics. I mean, Quiet Riot, Bang Your Head. And I was in a time in my life where my parents were not together. I didn't feel like I fit in the church group that my mom wanted me to be a part of. I didn't
yeah.
have a lot of friends in my neighborhood. And I was 14 years old, walking home from school, and there were some people off in the corner like, hey, want to try some? Some what? Right? Like I
Yeah,
did know. I had no idea. I was so I was so angelically pure.
yeah,
And they were friendly. They were friendly. And
yeah,
then I had my band friends because I went to band camp.
yeah.
You know, I loved band camp. I think it was the most
Yeah,
amazing experience. And I also went to a Christian camp. So I was
yeah,
very, very dynamic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I did Christian camp too. I actually learned the organ. I wanted to be the first female to play the organ in the NHL. That lasted till I think I played for about 4 years. But my parents bought
Wow.
me a brand new Yamaha organ that was still had the price tag of $2,000 on it back in like 1982 or 83. Like it was, yeah, like old. And so I learned to play the theme from Young and the Restless, and that was my claim to fame.
Incredible. I probably listened to that a million times.
Yeah,
Legit. I loved the operas. I
yeah,
loved watching the characters
yeah,
so, so very much. I
yeah,
read, I watched movies. I was an only child. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
that's what I did.
Lots of movies. That's what we did Friday nights. So it's like, oh, let's go watch a movie. Yeah,
Mhm. Dynasty. Who
yeah,
killed JR?
yeah, 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 yeah. Knots Landing. That was my favorite. Mom, can I please stay up till 9:30 Sunday night?
Yes.
Please.
Because we didn't even have VHS. Many
No.
families couldn't afford a
Mm-mm.
VHS recorder at
Yeah.
all, right?
Yeah.
Or I didn't have the channel because it was
Yeah.
like 3, 5, 13, and 11, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Full
And
House
one of them was
Library.
French.
Oh, the French channel just
Yeah.
sucked. I
Yeah. We actually had
refused.
a party line where I was when we moved to Beaumont. We moved out to an acreage, and it was a party line. So you had to, yeah, it was a different ring, and so often be listening to the girls next door who were teenagers and listen to their phone calls, right?
I remember when we got the phone that had the push button instead of the rotary.
Oh yeah,
You push down 1 and 9 and then lifted the receiver, you could
yeah.
hear the conversation and they didn't know you were on the line.
Oh, mm.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
funny. I didn't remember that one. I just
Yeah.
remembered having *69 so you could block your phone number. That we had
Yeah.
fun. We had fun.
Oh,
We had fun making prank phone calls back in the day.
that was the best, especially when Bart Simpson came along with all those really good
Oh,
lines.
totally, right? Is your
Yeah.
refrigerator running? Better go catch it.
Oh my God. Is Mike Unt there?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to laugh. And
Yeah. No,
there
totally.
is like that's where we don't need to disconnect from things so much as understand their purpose and their meaning.
Totally.
I think it's beautiful to sit down at the end of the evening and watch a TV series. I just finished watching Firefly Lane.
Oh, that was cute. Yeah, I watched some of that too.
Oh, I got to
Yeah.
the end. Oh,
I
just
watched another one last
blockbuster.
year called Younger. And so Michael Starr, who makes Sex in the City, made it, or Darren Star rather. And I think there's 6 or 7 seasons, and it was really good. So it's a lady, she's in her 40s, she gets divorced. Well, she ends up meeting a guy who's much younger than her. And yeah, it's just a really nice story. Half-hour episodes. It's funny. It's like there's fashion because it's in a magazine. I don't know. I've always liked like that kind of thing. And any lawyer show too. I'm always about that.
Oh boy.
Suits is one of my favorite. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
really, really good.
Well, and especially before we could binge watch, you had to really
Yeah,
dedicate yourself to
yeah,
being on
yeah.
post
Oh, totally, totally.
to make it
Yeah.
for your show,
Or
right?
or Rob would wait till I'm gonna wait till all the series are available on DVD. So that's how we watched Breaking Bad, and then that's how we watched Sons of Anarchy. Oh, there's a good series.
Oh, that was so good.
So good.
So good.
There's actually a version of that. So it's not the Sons, but the Mexican gang.
The
There's
Mayans.
that's yeah, the Mayans. So that's
Yeah.
on TV too, and that's really good.
It is
So
really good.
yeah, yeah,
I love the character development. I
yeah,
watch the character development. I question, what are they next? What decision are they going to make? How is
yeah.
this going to turn out? I'm
Totally,
always
totally.
thinking about that.
Yellowstone was another really good one I enjoyed, especially because just like the different years that they did things. Love the one with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. Oh, it
So
was just
good.
excellent. So
So
good. Well, just
mhm.
the history of things. I always like the history of things. Actually, Friday night we watched an Amy Winehouse movie, and it was
Oh,
fantastic. So on her life, I don't know if it may not be on regular TV. My husband has one of those Fire Sticks with a,
hmm.
I don't know, is it
Streaming
IPTV?
stuff.
Something like that, streaming stuff. But it was so good. Like it's just so sad too to have lost, her life that soon. And she had stopped drinking and she found out that her husband, who had gotten out of jail, he decided he didn't want to be with her when he got out of jail, ended up with another woman and they had a baby. And one of the reporters said that to her, and that's what sent her over the edge. So just
Oh,
so sad.
so sad. So very, very sad. Music documentaries. I
Oh,
watched the Celine Dion, which was beautiful.
oh,
I've
wasn't it
watched,
though?
oh, it was so beautiful. So, so beautiful. The Miley Cyrus, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Um, there's a few Michael Jackson, a few different versions. I
Oh, Michael
love,
Jackson. That I literally had a Fisher Price ghetto blaster when I was a kid, and I literally would walk around with that. I had a Michael Jackson jacket. I'd wear the glove. Like I loved Michael Jackson.
okay.
So
Yeah.
one of them, the only two other big stars that I would have wanted to see: Michael Jackson, George Michael. I was lucky enough to see Prince. Rob got me tickets to see Prince when he was here at the
Oh,
Coliseum. So it was a long time ago, but it was so good and like completely unexpected. This man always surprises me in the best ways, and I'm
mm,
so thankful. We've been to so many concerts. I love music, so
music is
and we've
wonderful.
seen everything from El Divo to oh god, like every genre you could possibly think of.
Yeah,
And then he
so.
got into country here this past year, so we've been to a bunch of country concerts, and I was like, I don't even know who that is. And Kane Brown, so good, so
Cool.
really cool.
Trying new things. You
Mhm.
don't know that you won't really like something until you try it sometimes more than once.
Totally, totally. Well, and even like live theater, we go to so many musicals, and I'm so appreciative of the fact that he likes the arts because a lot of guys are like all into sports, and he likes sports too. But I don't have to sit and watch sports all day Sunday, right? Whereas my dad will watch 3 football games and a baseball game and a hockey game, and I don't mind doing that once in a while, but I appreciate the fact that that's not an everyday occurrence for us.
Well,
So I'll watch
and
hockey. I'd watch hockey all day, every day, for sure.
okay,
But that's
okay.
probably the only sport that I would do that with.
Well,
So,
and
and
it's
only my team. I'm not interested in seeing other teams.
okay, okay. Well, it's the reason behind it's the purpose. Some people become very, very loyal fans, and other
Yeah,
people enjoy the game.
yeah.
So
Well,
it's
I guess I don't mind the game. We always end up going to a game when we go to Las Vegas. But it's the
always.
energy of that stadium is amazing. So you like the energy and lots of Canadian players too, right? So it's like, oh, I like this guy, right?
There are
So,
some sporting events that I really do want to see. I want to see an NFL game.
yeah,
Um,
so we saw Pro Bowl a few years ago, but we haven't been to an official NFL game. And actually, it was just after Michael Vick got into trouble with all the dog fighting ring that he had. So that
right.
was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. Big
Yeah.
problems. Big money, big problems.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Big money, big problems. No, and it's beautiful. And I think that that's why the art of connection is trying things that other people offer to you. Just say yes.
Yeah, 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 totally. Well,
Just say yes.
even often, like in business, it's like, I don't have anything in common with this person, but sometimes you learn the coolest things from people that you have nothing in common with. It's like, oh, this wouldn't be normally the person that I would chat with. And I sat down with a 22-year-old at a networking event a couple weeks ago and had just spoke with so much passion, had me captivated for over an hour because he just spoke so passionately. And I'm like, how old are you? And he tells me, and I'm like, I wish I was as passionate as you were 25 years ago because if you can do things in your life for the next 25 years with this much passion, you'll never work a day in your life, you know? So just
I
envious of that. I love seeing it because everyone assumes that people that age are, oh, you got to do everything they want and the way I'm like, you have no idea and you generalize. There are people that are certain ways in every generation, but you can't decide that, okay, well, this person's that way, so everyone's that way. Well, they're not.
No, there's some people that are innovators. They see a problem, they
Yeah,
see a solution, and they take action. Not
absolutely.
everybody does. Some people don't have the ability to see beyond the problem. When I went
No.
to Saskatoon, I stopped at a small town right before Saskatoon. I went to a museum. It was a rock museum.
Cool.
I saw a sandwich board on the side of the highway, so I went in. Gorgeous. Oh my God. The young man who owns it, he started that business when he was 15. He is one
Wow.
of the most successful museum curators in the world.
Wow.
And I got a really cool crystal. I got a rainbow fluorite. It's a flat piece too, so I've got it out in the living room and I put my coffee on it.
Oh, there you
Gorgeous.
go. That's cool.
Gorgeous. And he was wise enough to understand the problems with a museum. So a museum, number one, people have to pay to go in, which limits your customer base.
Yeah.
And number two, you depend on donations. So he
Yeah.
removed the entry. There's no fee. You just go right in.
Mm.
And donations are welcome. What he does is everything that is in the museum is for sale.
Okay.
Everything. Everything.
Hmm.
And I mean, there are rocks that are $2, so that a kid can go in and get a rock.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, I held on to a piece of a meteor.
Oh, very cool.
Not so cool. He was
Well,
just
I know
bringing
you're
me
driving to Ontario in a few weeks, and my girlfriend said she came across an amethyst mine on the side of the road on her way there. I'll get the name of the place because I was
oh,
like, I know somebody. This is be right up their alley.
no doubt.
Yeah.
What was
So she
that
has
place?
all these cool amethyst crystals that she picked up. And I'm like, I didn't know that was mined. Like, you don't know what you don't know, right? And I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I would love to know about that. That would be
mhm.
super neat. And I think that there is a great amount of pleasure that can be brought by saying, I want to do that one day and
Yeah,
making that one day real. Because otherwise, that one day
yeah,
and someday can be what makes you sad. One day and someday can really, really make you sad. I wish I had, if only, right? If only. We got a frozen Carrie. We just don't know why. Let's see if she comes back. And then she might just pop back in here in a second. We'll see what happens. We'll just see what happens. Carrie and I are both going to be at the Edmonton Womanition Biz Brigade. I'm confident that Carrie is going to have her photo booth there. Oh my God, I love the photo booth. I Have you ever been to a wedding that has a photo booth at it? Cool, right? Or an event that has a photo booth. What an amazing way to savor the memories, to record them. I'm just smiling thinking of my son's wedding that I was at, and there was a photo booth. And oh my goodness, we laughed, we joked, the kids, the props, the fun, the joy of not just being together, but remembering time spent together. What's more precious than time? People. People. Time is something that we measure the sunrise. Time is something that we measure the minutes by. But it's the moments that matter with the people that matter that will carry you through the difficult times of life. If you're looking for a great way to connect, join me at Womanition. I'm in Edmonton. I'm in Calgary. I go to Red Deer, sometimes Sherwood Park. It depends. I've met some of the most amazing ladies there. We raise money for girls. It's a great place to be. Life is good when you remember that the minutes matter and the people matter more. So go out there, connect, find a group that you've never been to. Connect with Carrie. My gosh, that woman has the ability to, she gives me so many wonderful opportunities for networking that I'm just like, I'm going to try one of those. That looks great. Can't do it all, but you got to show up. Showing up. Show up, show up, show up. So, I'm Nance. Carrie's computer decided to say night, night. So, good night from Carrie as well. I love you all to the moon and back. See you very, very soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of